Well, starting the progress and starting the process and the progress towards hopefully getting back to practicing has been obviously a challenge. We didn't have spring ball. It was a break of about 15 weeks. We started lifting and training. One of the things I was pleased with is conditioning of the players. And some of the players even told me that because of the conditioning that we did before, and we sent them workouts. I think our players did a pretty good job in the lockdown of doing a whole bunch of sit-ups and push-ups and running in place and doing all those things. They're in pretty good shape. So we still got some work to do through the end of this month as far as their conditioning, getting them prepared for the season, but I feel good about that. I think we've progressed there. And then obviously we're moving into doing walkthroughs and meetings now, and I've been really impressed with the football intellect, the coachability of the players, and obviously you can tell that they've won ball games. They're a 10-win team, a bowl champion team, and a team that competed for the championship in this league. So I've been very pleased with their progress at this point. We still are a long way behind from where we normally at this time from a teaching schematical standpoint, but our players are really, I've been impressed with their football intellect and their coachability. I mean, obviously our number one focus every day is their safety and their well-being. I mean, obviously that's the first and foremost, because this is one of the most unique times I've ever been associated with. But the number one thing is the relationship, is just building trust. And the good thing that we have is there's a brotherhood. It's really us as coaches coming in and really serving that brotherhood of the players and really ingraining ourselves into there. So it's really that relationship is what we're the most focused on, because we haven't had the time to really build that. But the good thing is our players have that. Our players have that closeness about them, and so that's something, our number one focus that I've had with our staff is, hey man, let's build relationships. Through those relationships, let's build trust. Yeah, what we're doing to keep our players safe, obviously here in the state of Hawaii, we have a 14-day quarantine. It's probably been one of the number one things to keep our players safe, is because obviously Hawaii is per capita, has the fewest amount of cases, I believe, in the country. I believe that's correct. The 14-day quarantine, so every player getting them back here, they all had to quarantine and go through that 14-day quarantine. And then obviously every single day we are doing medical screening, so they talk to their coach every single day, which involves a lot of contact, a lot of phone calls and text messages, and make sure if anybody is not feeling well, then they would not come to practice. And then anybody that lives there, if someone's not feeling well, we quarantine them as well. So it's really, making sure that we're communication has got to be the number one thing. And then they fill out that medical form. They come, they get a medical screening every day, which involves a temperature check. They get a wristband to make sure that they've been cleared by the medical staff. And then obviously we're wearing masks anytime we're inside. Obviously when we're outside, we're maintaining everything we're doing. We're maintaining social distancing, whether it be our meetings, whether it be walking through on the field, or whatever we're doing. We're maintaining our social distancing. So that's been the big thing that we've done. And then progressing forward, here the NCAA passed their guidelines this last Thursday or Friday, I believe, and it requires us to start testing our players as far as it's called surveillance testing for our players, and they require 30 to 50% of the players to be tested during training camp. We as a university, our team doctors and our administration wanted to make sure that we tested everybody. So in the next 12 days, next 2 weeks, we'll be testing all of our players to get a baseline test, and then progressing through the season, whereas in the season, the NCAA guidelines call for one be tested each week, and I think it's 72 hours before you play. So we're doing everything with a mask and with social distancing, and we've really talked to our players about it's so important if you want to play, is to make sure you follow the right protocol and do those things. And we've been I think as far as pretty blessed to be in a state that has been one of the safest and probably done the best job of handling the outbreak with the 14-day quarantine. I think the medical screenings, communicating every day, the temperature checks, all those things have been very, very important. And our guys, I think our players and our staff have done a really good job. I think our medical staff and training staff's done a great job. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I think I said earlier, when we were talking, is that last time I was picked third, we won it. So I don't really worry about preseason picks or anything like that. The one thing about this season that's awesome and that is that you get to play the games, and hopefully we'll get to play the games. But in 2019, we were Western Division champions, and so you can't take that away. And I don't know what the poll was at the beginning of the year last year, but it probably wasn't that. The polls usually aren't very accurate, and so that's it's an educated guess. So don't put much stock in that, except we're right where we need to be with a lot of work to do. But I believe in our team. I believe in our players, and our focus is to be competing for that championship and win it. Obviously, it's probably the most uncomfortable that I've been in my whole coaching career, because it's just it's so different. Trying to we spend a lot of time obviously focused on COVID and safety and those issues, and then it's very difficult to really be focused on the aspects of running the football program. Our players are very, very coachable. I've been very impressed with their football intellect. We are probably making the most adjustments on the defensive side of the ball. I've been very impressed with how they've handled that. It's very important that we don't have too many differences. You know what I'm saying? Because the minimum amount, we got to be able to execute something and be able to master something by the time we start our first game. And so been very, very impressed with our players. We've got to do a great job of being adapting to them as a coaching staff, and we've had obviously, we got to make sure that we're really smart in that plan, what we try to get done as far as our execution, and make sure we're doing adapting to the skills and talents of our players and what they can do well, and moreover, what are the reps that they do have? They have reps at what they ran last year, so it's very, very important that we adapt to that and we start there and move it forward. It's hard. It's really hard to tell. It's been really positive. I think each day has been a better day. I threw some things at them schematically today, and they picked it right up, and I was very, very impressed with that. And so I like, their no nonsense attitude. They come out and they work hard every day. They want to be coached. And with a lot of complexities around them, a lot of distractions around them. So I've been very, very pleased with them, and you can tell these guys have had success, and so that's why that they're at the point where they're at, and we're challenging them to move that forward. I think that leadership is something that I don't think I've had very many teams that I had more than one or two captains that I really believe that are guys that are exemplify what our values are. Everyone, always correlate it this way. When you watch the military, there's 45 guys in line and one drill sergeant. You know what I'm saying? And so these guys, I want them to focus on their actions, is get in there every day, serve your team, sell it with your attitude and your effort, the two things it takes no talent to do. And I've been very impressed with that. I've been very impressed with how they I've even watched how they've embraced the newcomers and the new people coming in. I'm very impressed with the team attitude, team first, big team, little me attitude, and that's something that's learned. The guys that have been here, you can tell that they've had success because you see leaders, and not necessarily leaders giving speeches, but leaders walking the walk.